Longevity isn't luck. It's lifestyle built on habits, culture, and intentions. Welcome to Age with Intention, the podcast where we explore how people around the world live longer, stronger, think clearer, and with purpose. I'm Art Aviles, your host, author, and longevity expert in holistic health. And today's episode is going to be a solo podcast. I'm going to bridge ancient wisdom with modern lifestyle. I have over 30 years in the wellness space and deeply trained in physiology, biomechanics, natural herbs, and Ayurveda. I grew up in Southern California, was an athlete all my life, and I thought I had everything figured out until I didn't. Sports injuries in my youth, from my 20s, my 30s, and stress overload in my 40s. That carried over to my 50s when everything unraveled. And I crossed that threshold that I always talk about. There's a threshold we all hit. And that threshold hit me at 52 years old. A chronic condition which led to atrial fibrillation, AFib. That sent me deeper into herbal medicine and Ayurveda and neuroscience, where I learned how to reverse chronic inflammation, joint pain, and even the atrial fibrillation, who cardiologists said I could never do, yet I did, and ultimately slowed down aging. Now today, I help people reconnect their own healing powers. I don't heal them, I just teach, I educate, so they can learn how to heal and thrive, and extend their lifespan and their health span. Now I've traveled to some of the world's longest living communities, from the Mediterranean areas like Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and obviously some of the regions in Latin America, which is like the Sierra Mountains in Mexico, where long living cultures thrive. And everywhere I went, I asked them the same question. I was nosy. I just wanted to know from the locals. And I would ask them, what's the secret to living past 100, 90 years old? Healthy and mentally sharp, because you are very sharp. The answers were similar, always pretty much the same. It wasn't diet, it wasn't exercise, it wasn't even genetics, and certainly not hereditary, right? So what they all shared was something deeper, stronger, meaningful connections, and a clear sense of purpose. From those conversations, I distilled the 7 simple principles for longevity. I call them the 7 C's of longevity. One of them is calm, and there's connection, community, cargo movement, culinary art, circadian alignment, and curiosity, which leads to creativity, right? So I'm going to unpack all of those in this episode. But before we do that, we need to go over the A-frame layers of alignment. Going over these is very important. So I'm going to unpack the A-frame layer of alignment first. That'll help you become the CEO of your health. Now, no outsourcing to reductionist systems. We're not going to talk about generalized protocols. So let's unpack it now. First, you need to assess who you are, your bioindividuality, your biotype. And I have a simple survey for that, and it's free. I'll leave it in the comments for you to grab. From your biotype, you need to acknowledge who you are consciously. Then there's awareness of your imbalances. Stay aware of the signals. Then we analyze disturbances, deep dive into analysis to get to the root cause. Once there, we activate a game plan. In other words, a playbook that you can implement right away to be on the right path. However, because life happens, you need to learn how to audible, okay? Audible on a daily basis for challenges that come across, micro changes to make better choices from disturbances and changes in your environment and your latitude, like the new seasons coming through, right? And then you need to learn how to adjust at the right time with the cycles, macro changes that make better choices from disturbances and seasonal changes in your environment and your latitude. Then there's the authentic self virtue. Recognize when you stay authentic, right? From authenticity to your true identity to stay in alignment, which brings better health and happiness. Okay, so the A-frame layer of alignment is obviously more detailed. So I'm going to unpack this even further. We first start by learning our biotype. We're going to go into this nice questionnaire where it's simple questions, just pretty much thought-provoking questions. You're going to answer those. You're going to find out your biotype, your bioindividuality. Some people call it your unique constitution, physical, mental, spiritual constitution, right? But these are your dominant energy forces. When you learn those, you are on your way to a better way to thrive, okay? Now, acknowledgement is very important. After you learn your biotype, you're going to acknowledge your imbalances in your biotype. You're going to consciously be aware on a daily basis what these imbalances are doing to your energy forces, right? That's why we introduced number 3, analyzing, right? You're going to do an analysis. What it means is that you're going to go deep to root cause. Why? Because analysis discovers disturbances in your environment, internal environment, external environment, that are actually causing imbalances in your unique type. And that's when you have issues like chronic inflammation, right? You have these different names, these symptoms they give you: thyroid, they give you leaky gut, they give you autoimmune. All these names we are very familiar with, but the bottom line, this is going to get you to the root cause. After that, we're going to create an action plan. Yes, a playbook just for you, but just like the playbooks that you see on, for example, professional football, professional basketball, baseball, you name it. I don't know if you are familiar with the NFL, which is the National Football League. They have playbooks and they have a quarterback, and that quarterback comes up to the line. Before they hike the ball, the quarterback calls out an audible, okay? So you have to be able to audible. Just because you have the playbook and you have that play in mind doesn't mean your play is going to work every time. You have to be able to audible on the go, okay? And the best quarterbacks in the NFL are the ones that know how to audible on the go. So you could be that quarterback for your very own team and learn how to audible on the go. Once you have an action plan and you learn different audibles for different situations, different disturbances that come along, different distractions that come along the way, etc., then you're set up for success because you'll be able to quickly audible, change the play, right? And there's adjustments. Now, these adjustments, they're not like the audibles. They are actually macro adjustments, okay? The audibles are micro. These are macro. These are going to be able to help you change during seasons, right? Or during cycles for women. You will change with the seasons. You will change with the cycles. You'll also change with your circadian rhythm. These are adjustments that we should all do. It should be happening throughout the seasons, throughout the months, throughout the year. Okay? The last one, authenticity. Okay? You stay true to yourself. You stay authentic, because when you stay authentic, you stay in alignment. And if you follow me, you know that one of my biggest sayings is alignment before anatomy. If you're on alignment, your biotype is going to stay in balance. You're going to be thriving, not just healing. You're going to be thriving. So those are the A-frame layers that we go through in my training before we even go to superfoods or supplements, right? That's why I also say the signal before the supplementation, the signal before the superfoods. Once you have that intact, then you're on your way. Now, I'm going to show you all the 7 C's of longevity as we go deeper into the grassroots. This is how you get back into alignment so that you can heal and thrive anytime you lose yourself. Throughout the day, there's the 7 C's. You have a list. It could be a checklist, really easy. You don't have to complete all of them. You don't have to check off every C. But if you're staying on track, you're being consistent, then it's going to help you so much. Okay, so let's unpack the C's, okay? The 7 C's. First one, calm. Obviously, this is very close to me because I had issues with atrial fibrillation, and that came because of stress overload. So I needed to downshift and reduce stress. Now, we know that meditation, breath work, prayer, all those are great. Ancestral reverence, mindfulness, siestas, which I love, are great practices to reset your nervous system, shifting you out of constant survival mode, right? And into a state of rest and repair. Now, this is something they do in the Mediterranean. They do in Latin America. They call them siestas, right? They take good breaks. They're going slow. They call it la calma, right? La calma. In other words, pretty much stop and smell the roses. We don't do that often here. So that's a big one. This lowers chronic stress hormones like cortisol, stabilizes adrenaline, and balances your autonomic nervous system, supporting immunity, heart health, digestion, and brain function. In these regions, they don't necessarily practice meditation per se. They simply slow down and smell the roses, like I said, in almost everything they do. Again, la calma, they call it, right? So ultimately, they know that calm isn't just a feeling. It's a foundation for longevity, folks. It reminds you that you're here for a purpose that matters far more than obsessing over health optimization, like here in America. We are over obsessed with biohacks and health optimization. Number 2, connection. The sunlight, earth, energy, spirit, right? Follow your natural rhythm. Build a relationship with the world around you. Expose yourself to sunlight. Walk barefoot on the earth. Yes, you're not going to get a disease for doing that, okay? Breathe fresh air and stay aware of the unseen layers of life, energy, frequencies, and spirit. These simple intentional connections influence longevity far more than most supplements ever will, because this is about reconnecting with life itself. Now, the third one, community support. That's family, friends, faith, belonging, okay? A small circle of meaningful relationships will extend your life far more than 1 million social media followers, okay? Share, collaborate, laugh, cry, love, dance. Humans are designed to live supported, not isolated. Peace doesn't come from withdrawing from the world. It comes from participating without letting it control you. And it doesn't have to be a big group, a big family, a huge social following. It could be a close knit of good friends and family that bring the good vibes, right? Now, the next one, cargo movement. What is that? Well, it's cardiovascular loaded movements, right? You could walk with weights, no weights. There's something called functional patterns where you could do amazing movements that are biomechanical. They're going to help your body, and you could walk every day, preferably outdoors. Get off those treadmills. Okay, in the Mediterranean, people don't work out. They move naturally. They walk. They garden. They carry things around. They build. Daily life is training for them. Now, consistent low-intensity movements beats out sporadic high-intensity gym sessions. This is nature's gym. Carrying groceries, water jugs, tools, wood pieces, or anything with real weight. I've seen old ladies in their 90s carrying these, okay? I've been there. It's amazing. That kind of movement builds functional strength, balance, resilience in ways machines never can do. If you ask me, what's the best out there for moving better, stronger, pain-free? I would say jump onto functional patterns, okay? It's the best human biomechanical program anywhere, especially while you're aging. Okay, I'm not saying if you're 30-year-old, the younger you can start functional patterns, the better. Okay, natural movements will always outperform artificial mechanical reps inside temperature controlled boxes. That's why I prefer functional patterns, and I prefer them outdoors. Now, you don't think it'll make you strong? Have you ever tried wrestling a farmer? You'll understand immediately. They are built strong. Okay, that's what functional patterns does, functional mobility. Okay, the next one, culinary art, homemade cooking with love. Doesn't mean you have to be a chef. What it means, it's a practice of caring for yourself and the people you love through food. In loving, living cultures, meals are prepared slowly, at home, with intention. Okay, the chopping, the stirring, the tasting and sharing, it's all ritual. Home cooked meals, especially when shared with family or community, extend life more than any trendy diet that we have here in America. We're loaded with books here, diet books, like crazy, yet we're the most unhealthy country in the world. Okay, so the nourishment comes not just from ingredients, but from the presence, the stories, the laughter, and the connections around the table. Okay, now, circadian alignment, live in sync with nature's clock. Yes, you've seen a lot of biohacks about this, but what we're talking about is simple. Okay, when you align with nature, the cycles of nature, our hormones, our metabolism, and our immune system function optimally. Okay, long-lived cultures don't overcomplicate things either with expensive gadgets. Okay, with expensive biohacks, they rise with the sun, they rest when it sets, eat in tune with the day, and honor seasonal rhythms in their food and their work. Disrupting these rhythms, late nights, constant artificial lighting, right? We got the EMS, we got the blue light, we got the LEDs, irregular meals, creates stress at a cellular level and accelerates aging, cellular inflammation, oxidation, as you know, which brings chronic conditions. The longer you live in harmony with the day, the more resilient your body becomes. Circadian alignment is simply free and one of the most powerful longevity practices you can adopt. Now, the last but not least, the seventh, curiosity. Nurture your imagination. Intentional curiosity strengthens creativity and intuition. It creates coherence between thought and action. Curiosity brings clarity, reducing uncertainty and stress that comes with it, right? It builds courage by increasing stress tolerance, which creates adaptive resilience. That's it, folks, resilience. So curiosity, remember, curiosity matters more than strict disciplines. The longest living cultures don't try to control life. They engage with it. The 7 C's are the roadmap to longevity. They create harmony within yourself, with others, and with nature. That harmony is the true foundation of long, meaningful living. Everything else is secondary, folks. Yes, the money, the perfect diets, the daily workouts, the status, the pleasure, all of it is preferred, but none of it is required. I'll give you an example. In America, we have the most advanced medical devices, gyms on every corner, and more diet books and social media posts. Yet, we're one of the unhealthiest modern societies in the world. Let me take it back. We are the unhealthiest society in the world. Okay, why? Because living in a toxic, overstimulated environment accelerates aging at the cellular level, folks. While people in places like the Greek islands, Sardinia, okay, the hidden mountains in Mexico, they don't live long because of fish oils or olive oils or supplements. They live long because they live at peace. A fast, obsessive lifestyle keeps the body stuck in survival mode, and survival mode is not longevity. We need to stop obsessing over health optimization. Ironically, the most obsessive fitness fanatics often live shorter lives than the intuitive people. Yes. Why? Because obsession creates stress. Stress elevates cortisol, and chronic cortisol damages blood vessels, weakens immunity, and erodes the brain. Counting every calorie, fearing bad foods, tracking every step, every day, that's not health. That's a prison, folks. Long-lived people eat simply. They eat real food, right? Not because they follow rules, but because they trust their intuition. They listen to their bodies. I had one of the fittest people I've ever seen in their 40s. And he was asking me why he was breaking down. He wanted to know why this horrific chronic condition he had was taking him over. I told him, first, replace the question, why is this happening to me, with what is it that's asking me to regulate or rebuild? And this takes listening to your body. There's always a signal, right? So listen to your body, listen to yours, because if you don't listen, one day your body will stop talking to you. Continuous incoherence is biological chaos, and chaos is where disease thrives. It's that simple, and almost no one in modern society is doing this, okay? My take here is there is a solution. Learn your biotype, like I said when we started, how your body works, your bioindividuality, your genetic constitution, your physical, mental, and spiritual state. Understand your unique physiology. That's how you'll be able to learn or listen better and return to alignment. Live in accordance with nature. That doesn't mean moving into the woods, hugging trees. It means aligning your actions with what you can control in your immediate nature, in your immediate environment, right? Practice moderation, restraint, temperance, because hormonal stability lives there. Slow down. Add these 7 C's to your daily tasks. Check them off. Do at least 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day. Do what you can. That's longevity. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. This message is powerful because it shows you that your biology isn't fixed. It's something you're influencing every single day through your habits, your environment, your identity, your choices. And when you understand that, you take your power back. You do. So, where can people find this information? I do have a guide, okay? You could follow me on Instagram. I continuously talk about this. And you could download my app to start your journey, okay? You go in there. I got a free trial. Do the onboarding. Get that going. I'll have the links for that stuff in the comments. You can find them there. You can find me on Instagram at Bio1 Art. Okay? So, I know your time is valuable, my friends. So, I want to thank you for joining me here and going all the way to the end with me. If you made it this far, remember, longevity isn't something you chase later in life. It's something you build daily. If this episode gave you a new perspective, share it with someone you love, someone who needs it. And remember, aging isn't the problem. Aging without intention is. Peace.